Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm Tucker Hazel, joined by my shining co-host, Abram Buehner, and today we're here to talk about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl releasing on November 19th for the Nintendo Switch. These games have been contentious among Abram and I over the last few months since their reveal and being a little bit underwhelming, and especially in terms of how much information was given to us. Until recently, where we have learned a lot more about these games. We've seen a lot more gameplay, but that hasn't really solidified our opinions in a positive way, and we're here to talk about why. Even though Gen 4, Diamond and Pearl, these games, the Pokemon series as a whole, very important for the two of us, these games look pretty bad, and I'm not excited to play it. But if you disagree with us, if you agree, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can join our Discord, the link is in the description, and of course, you can also subscribe and like the video while you're down there, because that's just a fun damn thing to do. And Abram Buehner, I'd like you to respond because I am done with one of the best intros I've ever done. I really think that was
really
phenomenal.
wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
You got us right into the topic. Very, very eloquent.
Thank you.
Positioned us for
I'm
some
elegantly
Pokemon.
eloquent.
Yes, you are. Tucker, I don't care about these games at all. I mean, at all. I don't give a fuck about Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. And here's why that's a problem. My very first Pokemon game was Pokemon Blue Rescue Team. Because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I told my grandma I wanted a Pokemon game. And I mean the box is shiny, so I figured that's why I got it. Which is also probably why I got my second Pokemon game, which also had a very shiny box, which was Pokemon Platinum.
Yeah,
and that's where that's where I really became a Pokemon fan. So Sinnoh means a lot to me. It's I haven't played it in a long time, but it holds so many distinct memories for me.
Yes, 100%.
And so this is a remake that, unlike a lot of remakes that we get because we are young, this actually speaks to a very particular childhood nostalgia of mine. You know, unlike most of the nostalgia, which usually panders to people older than us.
Yes.
But
we're getting to the era where we're finally going to be feeling the feelings that people excited for the Crash remakes and Resident Evil 2 and all that, freaking out. This was the opportunity for Game Freak to speak directly through the internet into my ear and say, Tucker, we heard you, we care about you, we love you. We cuddle you at night, we pat your head, and we let you know everything's gonna be okay. But they really didn't do that. I have my reaction up on YouTube. If I remember, I'll put a card in the corner of me going, oh no, this is not gonna turn out well for them. And it's kind of hard to tell. Some people are certainly excited about these games, and I don't want to take that away from them. I'm sure that they will be functional games. But from the perspective of a longtime Pokemon fan, seeing how remakes in the past have done for Fire and Leaf Green, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, or Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. God, I'm stumbling today. I was expecting a similar vein out of this, and of course, that is not at all what we're getting. This is as we talked about in our initial discussion at the end. This is Secret Option C. This isn't a straight remake in the vein of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. It's not a Let's Go remake. It's a remake of these games on Nintendo Switch, but it really is just Diamond and Pearl on Nintendo Switch, and that's really, really, really underwhelming for me. Even as someone who had Pokemon Pearl as my first video game experience ever. I'm the target audience for this, and it's not speaking to me in the slightest.
I'm gonna take you down a really bizarre analog to explain how I think about this game. Right?
Okay, all right. Bizarre analogs. It's one of those nights.
I will find this meme so we can include it in the video, or else it's going to make no sense. Okay. But there's this meme of what's the blonde guy from Scooby-Doo? What's his name? Not Shaggy. Fred. Yeah. Fred is standing with Velma and Daphne. Yeah, and he's like, the earth is flat, right, girls? And it's like a shot of them from behind. And then it cuts to a second panel, and he's like squeezing their ass, and they're like, yeah, Fred, it is flat.
Sure. In the idea being that he's coercing them into agreeing by ass fondling.
and Ilka is trying to fondle our bottoms to make us say that this is a good remake. But I don't think it is.
They can be fondling my bottom, and I will still say it's not a good remake.
I'm right there with you.
We are Velma and Daphne in this situation.
Here's the situation. I think what you're saying is incredibly salient. Yeah. If it's missing for us, that's probably an issue. Yeah. Now, is this game still going to sell probably 10 plus million copies? Certainly.
I mean, what was the last Pokemon game that didn't? I mean, maybe, I don't know how Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon sold or something like that.
Pokemon Pinball?
Yeah, like 25 years ago.
But I don't think...
Troise?
I don't think any mainline Pokemon game has ever sold anything less than excellently. Yes. And I don't think it's going to be any different. But that's kind of more an indictment on the fact that this was just a juggernaut of a brand, and it's going to
100%
be a juggernaut whether or not the products are that great, right? And I want to talk about how we've kind of learned a lot in the recent trailers and news dumps and leaks and patches that suggest maybe that quality isn't there, right? But the biggest problem I have, and this is not a new thought, but it's something I have said before, and I think it's important to reiterate here. This is not a remake that furthers the series. This is not a remake that evolves Sinnoh. It is a remake that remakes the game. And that sounds like a nonsense statement, but let me just elaborate. And I want to get your take on this.
I know exactly what you mean, but I'd love the audience to understand a little better.
When you think about going from, let's say, because Fire Red and Leaf Green are definitely the least substantial remakes we've ever gotten prior to this.
Yeah.
When you go from Red and Blue to Fire Red and Leaf Green, that is a remake of the game, but it's also bringing the series forward in the sense of this is the most alive Kanto has ever felt. This is you becoming immersed in Kanto in a way that your memory tells you were back in Red and Blue, but if you go back and play Red and Blue, it's fucking nonsense, right?
Yeah. On a mechanical level, I actually don't know how different those two games are, Red and Blue and Fire Red and Leaf Green. But of course, it's done in color now with much more detailed sprites and things that came with Gen 2 and Gen 3 that are now applied to Kanto.
Yeah, right. I mean, like physical special split, genders, things that were not in Red and Blue were brought into Fire Red and Leaf Green. Those games are bigger.
Did they have breeding and eggs? I mean, they must have, the Fire and Leaf Green.
Yes.
They must have.
I'm going to say yes. But the point is, most of, if not all of the Pokemon conventions were there. That game was brought up to the standard of Gen 3.
Yeah.
Issues with the Pokedex, issues with the Sevi Islands, whatever aside, right? Here, we're not doing that. We're recapturing an art style that was necessitated by technical limitations on the DS and bringing that forward. We're not bringing forward basically any of the quality of life improvements we've made to gameplay beyond the most basic ones, like accessing your Pokemon from your bag. I'm talking random encounters are back, and we're missing all kinds of things from Gen 8. There is no parity between Gen 8 and this, and there's always been parity before, and that's why it was exciting, because you got to experience those older regions through the modern immersive Pokemon lens, and this is just not that by any stretch of the imagination.
100%. And I think that also, if you look at Fire and Leaf Green, as you were saying, them being the closest in terms of parity of those games and their remakes, and of course there's Let's Go Now, which came way later, and that's sort of its own thing. But you look at the ways that Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, even if those later games are for some reason a little bit contentious, both those sets of games introduced new ideas to the series, whether or not they stuck around, but gave them their own flavor, which is one of the reasons I'm most disappointed by Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. You look at Pokewalkers and the things that that Heart Gold and Soul Silver introduced to just that game and weren't carried around, but you can still look back and be like, oh man, that was so cool. Or you look at Soar or the Pokedex scanning thing that you can do in the post game of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and I'm like, man, I really felt that those games had their own sense of identity, because Pokemon games are samey. They always have been. It's those tiny steps forward, the consistent but tiny steps forward that Game Freak has always been taking, and this is pretty much the first time in the franchise we are standing still, if not stepping backwards in this progression of modernizing and adding new mechanics and things like that.
Like, I don't think it's a step backwards. I don't think it's a step forwards. I think we're just getting on a fucking different staircase, because this is, of course, Ilka, as we said back when we were talking about Ilka fondling our bottoms, right? This is not Game Freak doing the fondling. To which I'd be far more receptive, you know what I'm saying? But
they're gonna be doing other things to my butt when Legends Arceus comes around. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to elaborate this video. I just think that this is blatantly Pokemon saying that we cannot sustain our output And so Ilka is going to come in and they're just going to make a game that checks a box. And I don't think that Sinnoh was the right games to check that box with, because these are very important, right? Now, ultimately, they're nowhere near as important as Legends Arceus or Gen 9.
Yeah.
But they're still very important by their own right. And I think they're just being done a disservice, especially as we learn more about the games, which is where I kind of want to pivot the conversation, because a lot of what we're saying is just kind of bringing back all the shit we've talked in video after video about BDSP. So, Tucker, what do you think about any of it? Take me where you want to take me.
So, it's kind of hard for me to remember what all has been new information recently, what was in the fucking directs or whatever they've had, because this game has had such a weird rollout of information. Pokemon, with especially new generations, is very consistent about every 2 weeks giving you a trailer with some new Pokemon, some new mechanics, a little bit of a slow introduction to what this world is going to be. Some might say, and I think fairly so, that they give you too much information about these games, and it would be more fun to unveil those on as your own, but it does work for the franchise, and I've always personally very much enjoyed checking in on Twitter, checking in on the Pokemon YouTube channel, following along with the discussion of new information about these games. But BDSP had a complete drop-off to the point that we thought, we have a video about this, we thought that they were going to be delayed because we had heard so little about them, and because, frankly, in that first trailer, they did look very poor. That has been rectified a little bit since then in the subsequent graphical updates that we've seen in the gameplay. But they started snowballing the information so quickly that I haven't really been able to keep pace with it. Also, mostly because not a lot of it seems very interesting. The stuff that has been dropped in videos, there's really only one major thing off the top of my head that I don't know is a good thing or not, which is
Ramananas Park.
It's I said Ramadan Park, which is obviously not accurate, but it's very close to that, and I can't remember off the top of my head, which essentially just allows you to, for no reason, capture all the other legendaries for the other games, not in like a clever way, not in a creative way or anything, but just like, hey, we're replacing Cal Park with catch all the legendaries. Isn't that a treat? Which is really disappointing to me, and apparently that appears to be the extent of the post-game content, which is also very disappointing.
I mean, as far as I know, it's the only new piece of content. There's a great underground, right? And we can talk about that. But I think of the recent trailers, the only new thing was Ramananas Park or whatever.
I'm going to look up what the actual name is.
Ramananas Park. And I think that this trailer was probably...
Ramanas Park.
I think Ramanas Park is probably the single area on the map that best represents why this game is just so uninspired. If you watch that trailer, the music is fucking boring. If you watch the trailer, the visuals are just Pokemon. The music, as I said, it's just, the presentation is flat. The tagline is catch a legendary Pokemon. Half the Pokemon are in Brilliant Diamond. Half the Pokemon are in Shining Pearl.
Yeah.
All of them are already in your Pokemon home. It's just like, thanks, guys. I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Yeah.
Because there's quickly developing, which is no grand surprise, but an ardent group of people calling those who think these games look bad to be, entitled, or that these games look great or whatever. And
there's a number of memes going around. It's like, you wanted Gen 4 remakes. Here's Gen 4 remakes. Pokemon fans still complaining. It's like, what do you fucking ask for or whatever? It's like, there's a line where those two don't necessarily have to meet.
Yes. It's just so fucking ridiculous that people are so quick to go to bat for Game Freak and the Pokemon Company.
Yeah.
Who is as multi-billion dollars corporation as you can possibly have. And this game is not even up to par with Game Freak's own titles.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how we're supposed to look at this and not accept it, that's not right, but be excited about it when, why would I be? Why wouldn't I just go back and play Platinum? Because at a certain point, that content isn't even in this game.
There's mixed reports on that. I haven't really dug super deep into it, but I have heard that the distortion world is in the game. I've heard that's also not. I don't know which one of those is entirely true. I know some platinum content is missing. I don't think the Pokedex is actually expanded to the platinum level. I know there's a weird cutoff of the similar to Let's Go where you can't even evolve an Eevee into a Sylveon, like even though fairy types are in the game and they have the models for Sylveon, they can get access to the move pool of fucking Sylveon. There's those cutoffs, which are very obnoxious and something that I really disliked about Let's Go. And I think it more applies to the fact that they could have learned from that and done it in this if Game Freak was making this, but Ilka is making this, so there's not even that, okay, oops, we messed up this time, here's our fixing that. I don't know.
I mean, it's just fucking phoning it in, and it's not to say that because I've
heard Looker is not even in this game at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Tucker, to be fair, there was no introductory cutscene in the game until the patch released.
Yes.
So
yeah,
who knows?
Patch notes. The patch notes are really peculiar for multiple reasons.
Yes.
Because the game is out there, it's leaked, people have the fucking game files, they're playing them on their Switches. Okay, fine, that usually happens with Pokemon.
Yeah, broken street dates.
How does it happen? I don't know the actual process of that happening, but it always fucking happens. And people were tearing the game apart and saying, look, here's what's in there, here's what's not, here's the problems the game has. Pokemon Company, Game Freak, whoever fucking officially announces there will be an update to this game. A day one update, but not actually, because the day one update is actually already out for games that aren't already out. They were holding back this update of this content because it's not on the press of the cartridges for launch, but presumably because people had the games already, they pushed the update early, which doesn't make any sense because the games aren't legally supposed to be out yet. There's so many fucking questions about that. And some of the issues that people have with the game aren't even being fixed in those patch notes.
Well, I think it's because reviewers obviously have copies of these games.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, that's a good point.
And they know that their score is not going to be good. Mm-hmm. I frankly do not think that the review scores are going to be that great anyway.
Period. Yeah.
But they would have been even worse had this patch not hit during the review period, right? I think it's just emblematic of the fact that the game was not ready. Whether that's because of COVID, whether that's because of Ilka's inexperience, whether that's because of the traditional Pokemon Company crunch that they always put these teams under, or probably most likely a convergence of all these factors.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were not ready to go. They're talking about post-launch support for this game, of having future updates where more than 2 people can be in the Union Square multiplayer. Like, if you're gonna do a 1-to-1 remake, finish the remake. Put it on cart. This is the sort of game that should have a 1.0 on cart that is complete. Mm-hmm. And maybe that there's a patch for stability. Maybe there's patches to tweak online.
Yeah.
Maybe a future patch for Pokemon home integration or transferring to Gen 9 or whatever.
Which, by the way, Pokemon Go with home integration should be on the cart regardless. Yeah. It's stupid that it hasn't been in like Sword and Shield at launch or whatever. But
like if you're adding in the title cutscene in updates, like, what the fuck is happening? And it's going to be there when I boot up the game, but that's emblematic of such a terrible development cycle that it is important.
Yeah.
And equally important, Tucker, no matter how many people say that this is something that's always been the case, the fact that you can flip a line of code and turn your copy of Brilliant Diamond into Shining Pearl, saying that this is the way that the 2 versions of Pokemon have always been is not the defense people think it is. Because that is such an indictment of the business model to begin with, and I think
that's a good point. Though logically it tracks, and because it tracks, I don't necessarily see it as an inherent negative. I'm surprised that we didn't know that until now. Like widespread knowledge, it's possible that hackers, people with the game code knew that.
I think it was not,
for forever. But I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's not a bad thing because it's the precedent, at least in my opinion.
I just think that
it doesn't affect us in any way.
I think this is the game really that is bringing me to my breaking point with a lot of just systemic Pokemon issues.
Sure.
And I think the fact that you can buy a dual pack of these games on the eShop for $120, when when it's actually just the retail before taxes 2 cents less than buying each version individually off the eShop, it's like this is clearly just gouging fans for money. Yeah. And in an environment when you can just trade with your friends online and get these Pokemon. The two version system has been outdated for a long time. And I just think that in the context of a game like this, it already feels so pared down and so much like it's just trying to pander that having two versions of this rubs me even more the wrong way. If they're like, here's Pearlescent Platinum, right? And there's just one remake, I think that might have even sat better. I just think that when you add the basic Pokemon bullshit to everything else going on with these games, it just all just fucking snowballs and snowballs and snowballs.
No, that's definitely how I'm feeling, as well as we have gotten these trailers and lots of things being dropped on Twitter, on the YouTube channel, with no fanfare, with very little conversation around them, frankly. I mean, I'm used to my Twitter feed being full of people reacting to, whether it was with Sun and Moon or Sword and Shield or whatever, new Pokemon designs, new areas, whatever the update is, people are excited about these games and can't get enough of talking about them. But when they drop a trailer that says that, or they drop the patch notes that say, yeah, you're going to eventually be able to actually play like reasonable multiplayer online, and the end response is just like, well, game comes out in 2 weeks. That's a really poor sign for the community around this game, which is, of course, still going to sell well. But I do think that a lot of the passion for these games has died down, and especially has within you and me.
Yeah, especially because like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are probably the first Pokemon games that I followed closely, because they came out when I was 13. I think we were both 13, right?
Those games came out in 2014. They came out the same day as Smash Wii U.
Right. I played a lot more Smash Wii than I played Auras. I ended up not liking Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire that much in the end, but even when the news was just like, here's another trailer of the Hoenn region, there was something so amazing about seeing the Hoenn region brought up to the 6th generation, right?
Yeah.
Here, there's nothing amazing about seeing, I don't know, Jubilife City, because Jubilife City basically looks identical to how Jubilife City did. It's just in this new art style. It's not, oh, how has the region grown, or how is it being presented in the context of a Sword and Shield engine? It's just, here it is again, you know? And I just think that's very disappointing.
Yeah, I continue to find more problems that I have with this game. I mean, I was underwhelmed at the beginning because of the visuals. They have rectified a portion of my complaints at the beginning, which I do give them credit for.
It does look clean.
But unfortunately, the problems with the game systemically and lack of growth-wise have become more clear as we've gotten these trailers. And there's weird issues with some of the new stuff, like the Grand Underground is an interesting idea to have those underground rooms and overworld, quote-unquote, overworld encounters in those certified, those special rooms. But it does come at the cost of the actual underground bases that you used to be able to design not being the same. You can't place down anything but the statues that affect the Grand Underground caves. There's no traps, as far as I know. There's no you used to be able to put beds and little potted plants and carpets and all sorts of stuff in those underground bases. All of that is entirely gone. You can only place down statues, which just makes the base a way for you to affect the Grand Underground areas, which is very disappointing. And of course, not a huge problem, but it is emblematic of the fact that this game is actually in some ways removing aspects of Sinnoh that made it special. And then you look at the fact that Tal Park has been shifted into this glorified legendary catching area, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And I know you can draw a direct comparison to the Mirage spots in Auras, which allowed you to catch those legendaries. However, personally, I would say that those are more interesting because it is contextualized around Hoopa performing magic things, and you have to find them in the SOAR areas, and they only show up at certain times of day. There's a unique aspect of that does feel like it's part of that Gen 6, I don't know, oeuvre. And another thing that people have been making fun of, and I do think that it's reasonable too, is something that we noticed in one of the recent trailers, which is the normal proportioned Pokemon models following your chibi character, but this being so extensive that it's not even scaled properly. So you have Dialga being the size of your fucking stubby Dawn, and it's just like, man, there's no charm to these games. There's no character. There's no consistency even, which I find very frustrating.
He sent me a picture of someone walking with a fucking Rayquaza on yesterday. Yeah. That was so funny. I think it's things like that are just so emblematic of the design philosophy behind this game, which is people like Pokemon following you. What is the easiest way to get Pokemon to follow the player? It is take their battle models and shrink them down. And that's that. It's so inconsistent. You're completely correct about that. Yeah. And I think there's also something that I think people are underplaying. I follow this great Poketuber named Lutu, who does a lot of hacking and things like that. And these games are built on Unity.
Really?
Yes. And so they're going to be very easily torn apart. People are already modding shit into the games as is. And so that is going to be very interesting to see if these games end up becoming the definitive Sinnoh games because they are so easily torn apart by fans and put together, which is, I don't think it's necessarily or usually fair to say, oh, for instance, Nintendo, your emulation isn't on par with Dolphin. People making Dolphin are making Dolphin for free, you're Nintendo. But the people making Dolphin for free have spent like 10 years and they're working constantly in their free time, right? Crowdsourced knowledge is not usually applicable.
Yeah.
But it's still disappointing to see the community so probably super quickly jump into the code for this game and so fundamentally improve it. You can already look on Twitter and find mods, and it's just like the games are being built on Unity, which is clearly a cost corner cutting measure.
And also same probably some of the inexperience of Ilka.
Yeah, which is totally understandable.
Never made a fully rendered game before.
And like the lion's share of games we play are made on Unreal or on Unity, so that's not necessarily a knock against the game, but it's just like if you're going to open up this door and in 2 weeks we see fans adding all this shit into the games and they become demonstrably better for people who either stealing the game and pirating it on like one of the emulators, the PC emulators, or cracking the switches open. That shouldn't have to be the recourse to get at least a fully fledged Diamond and Pearl remake.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, at this point, it's just kind of a circuitous conversation. I've gotten not a whole lot new to add. It's just.
No, I don't have anything else to say, mostly because I can't remember a lot of the stuff that they talked about in the new trailers that I would break down, but frankly I don't think there's a lot to break down.
No, I don't think there is.
Though we will have the games in our hands in 6 days as of recording this, less as of uploading, and probably less as of you watching this. And we'll be giving our thoughts. Maybe I don't know if we'll do a first impressions necessarily, but I do think that covering this game consistently and our presumed disappointment, I'm withholding judgment, of course, on the final product and how my nostalgia is tickled by actually playing the game when I get it in my hands. But all signs point to no with this, and unfortunately that might color my impression going into it. It is possible that people, praising this game, defending it, will have a lot better time with it. But I've been scrutinizing this game because I think it has flaws, and I believe that those flaws will be reflected once I have the game in my hands and have probably beaten it rather quickly, as I'm familiar with Sinnoh, and there's gonna be very little discovery to be had in these games.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no agenda against this game. I've got significant issues with it, but as we began the video with, this is a very important Pokemon generation to me.
Yeah.
And I want to have a great time. I hope I do. I don't think I'm going to, but I certainly would like to.
Yeah.
And we will do plenty of coverage and hopefully end in a place where maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle and the games end up being solid, if not forgettable, or maybe even pretty good. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that people have the games in their hands and we're learning all this information means that the writing is kind of on the wall here, but we'll see.
I can't wait for review scores to drop. That's gonna be really fucking telling. Either really telling in, man, people have so much nostalgia for this game, they'll fucking ignore whatever they need to, or holy shit, these games are poor.
I think it'll do fine. My prediction is that the Metascore will land somewhere in the high sevens.
High sevens? Okay, I think I'll go low sevens.
Yeah.
Frankly, I would, future projecting, I would kind of want these games, if their quality is low, to receive a lower, high 6, mid 6.
I don't think it's going to. I think that you can probably, without like trying to throw shots at anybody, you can kind of tell. You could probably give me a list of 10 outlets, and I can tell you which ones are going to give a positive or negative review. Mm-hmm. I mean, at a certain point, it's like, it is Pokemon. I would not be surprised if reviews are universally great, and that there's a dichotomy between critics and fans on this one.
Sure.
But I would hope, based on what we've seen, that, and what this being contextualized against what Pokemon can do, what past remakes have done, how little progress there is between Diamond Pearl and this, that reviews reflect that. But ultimately, I'm not your fucking mom. I don't know, Kotaku reviewer who's watching this. So we'll see.
I'll send it to them as soon as I find out who it is. I'll copy and paste into their DMs.
Well, Tucker, I think we're done.
I'll see you in 6 days to record something about BDSP. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say I think I'm attracted to redheads because of Kim Possible.
It's certainly entirely possible. Yeah, I'm sure there's some Misty thrown in there as well. You know,
that's a great point. Also,
maybe Ginny Weasley.
I was too scared of the Harry Potter movies to watch them when I was a young boy.
Talk about all right. I love sex.
Okay.
All right, and that's gonna lead us right into BDSM. Shining Merle.